Maya, have to go in?
Go right ahead, Blondie. Recording in progress.
Okay. Today is February 25th, and our disclaimer is we are not attorneys or tax consultants. We are not offering advice. This is a discussion call for an exchange of ideas and information, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I have some breaking intel. Are you all ready?
Hey, for sure.
The latest that I heard from my highest sources is the reason that this has not happened yet is that the semi that had the balloons, the 100,000 balloons, was on its way to Baghdad. It broke down. By the time they got there to fix it, all of the helium had run out of the balloons, so they have to blow up all the balloons again. Now, how long that'll take, who knows? Ha, ha, ha. Wasn't that funny? Okay, let's get going here with some good stuff. And you know who I'm going to have talk first because I know he's on a tight schedule. And I know a lot of you all listened to the Lambda call yesterday, and there was a little consternation. So Lambda Man is with us, and he's going to give his take on it. So Lambda Man, go right ahead. You're unmuted.
All right. Thanks, Blondie. Actually, you know, when I was listening to that call and saw some of the comments that were posted, I was wondering if I was listening to the same call. I spent a little extra time going over it again this morning, just kind of really breaking it down, seeing what was being taken, you know, straight and what was out of context. I'm just going to basically go right through the call, some of the key points, and state what was stated, you know, quoted, as well as what was strictly hyperbole. So anyway, Jersey wasn't even on the call. He sent a memo in that Will read off. And they read the statement, and here's some of the key statements he made. He started off with the transfer process.
Hey, and Lambda, you're a little bit fuzzy.
Sorry, is that better?
That's much better.
All right. Trying to have my hands free so I can make some notes while I talk, but my earpiece just isn't that good. I apologize. But he started off with the transfer process to our account is moving well. Suffice it to say the transfer process is moving forward very well. This type of blackout mode is partly because of the global events that are taking place right now in the background. So them, just like everyone else, are being told to stop giving out key information. He goes on to say, we will share that in the last days, certain jurisdictions like Singapore and Hong Kong have had various temporary freezes placed on large money movements, either by SWIFT or by TT. This is done as a special reason being the continual cleanup of the financial infrastructure prior to formal release of the matrix fund. Okay, and he goes on to say, we are certainly assured of the global reset and all that it implies. So they're assured that the reset is happening. In respect to the rumors out there, particularly in respect to the RV, the Republic, and other matters having to do with global reset, the blackout extends to these as well because of the sensitivity of these events. We're continuing to say the same thing that the other intel providers are saying, and that is we've got some information, but we're being asked not to give out specifics. And then he goes on to say, and this is probably the most telling statement, although we are privy to specific information regarding these matters, we cannot and will not endanger the process as it is unfolding. And then this sentence, again, we are well into the reset process, and we can expect rate changes shortly. The timing can be measured in days and weeks at this point. He's saying the same thing. It could happen any day. It could be, you know, a week or two. But we are there. But this process has been put in place. Then he goes on to say, our focus from here on out on the project side has escalated due to the proximity of the funding, and we are expecting to be operational within a short time, measured in weeks and not months. When he was talking about the weeks and not months, he was referring to their projects and getting everything in place. And that was it for Jersey. And everything else that was stated later in the call was by Will and Doug. Will went on to say, and this was referring to the RV, we will no longer be giving global information about the funding as it's now time to do the work, and some of that information is sensitive. So as we go forward with our calls, we're going to see an increased focus on the projects, as that is now what we are about, and we are going to be busier than we have ever been before in the coming weeks. And Doug went on to say, my wings have been clipped a little it because we have been told not to pass on certain information. Same thing we've been hearing.
Hey, Landa, can you slow down a little bit?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I have a tendency to go fast. I'm always trying to fit more information in less time than I've got, so I'll do my best. Okay. And Doug goes on to say, my wings have been clipped a little because I have been told not to pass on certain information. What's already out there has been flooding in, and I have no validation of a lot of it. A lot of the processes that we have been searching for, that we're looking to begin, what really goes on is a lot of this stuff has already been happening for quite some time. The fact is, it's not publicized or you don't hear about it. It's part of the protocols of implementation. The process follows a very methodical plan for implementation. And then he says the rocks have been cleared out of the road, so to speak. And they are currently getting more details on how to process. And he pretty much finishes up by saying, we aren't waiting for something to start, we are waiting for something to finish. So repeatedly here they're saying this is underway, this is happening, it has started, we are waiting for it to finish.
Will
goes on.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm trying to slow down.
I just got a text, and I'm not sure if you covered that part, but I guess there was a part of the call where it was mentioned in there that the public would not maybe even be able to exchange. Can you address that?
Yeah, I will, absolutely.
Okay.
It's in the notes here a little farther down, and that has to do with the overprinting discussion they had. Will says, Doug finishes up by saying there's a mass cleanup of the banking system is still underway. And Will says, let's say the RV is released today. Then he says, I'm being hypothetical here. It is likely that individuals, meaning private individuals, will not see anything happen on that for weeks. Here's why. All the countries, there's over 200, are all holding currency that will help them clear their debts. This whole thing was designed to help them get rid of their debts. It was never really designed to be windfall for individuals. We're just piggybacking on it, but we're not really the crux of the entire movement. It has more to do with each country basically cleaning up their books and moving into a new global economy, if you will. Then he said, so the question is, how long will it take for 200 countries to get settled? Individuals have got to be weeks, a month down the road from the time countries start. They've also said, look, countries have started. This is well underway. Jersey said we're talking days, possibly weeks, but we're there. So don't take a lot of this stuff out of context. Like he said, he even started that comment by saying, I'm being hypothetical here. Then Doug went on to say, look, we're just looking at the logistics and the logic of this thing. I've stated for many times that we won't know when this thing is going to happen. We will only know when it is done. That's why I say this is not about something starting. This is about something finishing. The process has already started, and I'm quoting here. This is word for word. When these processes have ended is when we will see the manifestation, and we can go in and participate. And then it is going to be tiered down. So it's going to be a process from when the countries are funded, the projects, historical bonds, admirals, private exchanges, etc. All of those things will be taking place. So it's going to be a large project. And back to quoting what he said, by the time it reaches the public. Now, his definition of the public is retail, i.e. you can see it on the Forex. That's when the public will be able to go in and exchange currencies literally at the window. So we're not talking about routes. We're not talking about private exchanges. When he says public, he's talking about it being on the Forex and anyone being able to walk into any exchange center and exchange currencies. Then, a little later, they did get into a conversation about overprint. Now, when they were talking about it, later in the discussion, they went on to say, now when we're talking about this is the dinar only. This has nothing to do with dong, zim, rupiah, any of the other currencies. This is strictly the dinar. The dinar was overprinted in the quintillions. How does that play out as this unfolds? And then he said, we don't know exactly. We have some ideas. One idea is they could fund countries first and not get to the public. But he says, that's always a possibility. We're not saying that's what could happen, but any of these things are possibilities. And they had a slight discussion about that a little bit later and said, look, there's no question they overprinted the currency. The question is, how are they going to react, or how are they going to adjust for that? We don't know. There's several possibilities. Just be aware that, until it happens, we just don't know. Now, I've read a lot about that since then, and there's been a lot of discussions. My personal opinion, I think it's already been handled, taken care of. That's probably the reason that the lowest currency we all hold is the dinar, because there's just so much of it. But take that for what it's worth. But they did say this is all strictly conjecture. They're just talking about what they could happen, or how they see the overprint of the dinar affecting things. But they weren't coming from any place or any intel that they had received. It was strictly looking at it from the outside looking in, saying, look, it was overprinted. How is this going to roll out? We don't know until it happens. And that was it. The other item that had a lot of people curious was when they started talking about the 90 days to enter the World Trade Organization. They said, look, it's been stated that there's 90 days, and this was in response to Q&A, and these things came up. So they said, it was stated that they have 90 days. They have to be an international recognized currency for 90 days in order to qualify for the World Trade Organization. So they've looked. They can't find in the rules where it states that. And he says, I've asked my contacts in Hong Kong, China, who say that is the rule, but they can't show me where it's stated either. They all say that's what they're told, but no one can tell me where they can locate it. And he said the 90-day caveat may just be a function that has to occur. It may be standard practice. It does make sense, but we just can't find where it's written. And that was the extent of that as well. Maybe it's just a common sense approach. Well, my personal opinion, it could even be a one-off. There could be certain countries that are part of top-tier countries that until another currency has been recognized for 90 days, they won't recognize it. And if that's the case, all of these countries have to recognize it. It could be a one-off policy. So you could even need to look for that somewhere else. But this was a minor discussion about looking for that, not being able to find it. So they can't confirm it, that they're not saying that's not the case. And then as a result, someone called in, if you want to go listen to this part, an hour and 40 minutes into the call, Will and Doug kind of clarified a little. And Will said, look, we're just speculating here. I don't want people to misjudge this and think that we're really pessimistic, because that's not the case. But we're very much kind of realists. We just try to get back to the common sense of it. And then Doug said, I think there's also a misunderstanding about terminology. We have to broaden our view up. When we say RV and when we say GCR, what does that actually mean? When we say it starts, what does that mean? And because some people are sitting in dire situations, or because the anxiety has developed over the past 5 years or so, an intel provider is bringing information together globally and making speculative comments. If the RV starts tomorrow, what does that mean? When we say it starts, you may not see it for weeks or even months down the road. The only confidence we have is the validation and verification that it has started. So they're not saying...
Can you slow down a little bit, Landis? Slow down a little bit.
Sorry. Yeah. So he's trying to explain there that they're not saying you're going to get an announcement and then weeks or months down the road you're going to be able to exchange. They're saying when it starts, in order to do this entire process, it's weeks or months to get it all done. But they also say several times throughout here, it has started. And he ends it with the only confidence and validation we have, validation and verification, is that it has started. And then that talks a little bit more. The bulk of the public knows nothing about the GCR. There aren't that many of us compared to the 350 million people in the U.S. Generally speaking, the public doesn't know anything about this. So I've talked to wealth managers that haven't got a clue. I know some pretty prominent bankers that cover regions of the country that say, hey, it's not abnormal. Just because we don't know doesn't mean that we won't get a memo when it's on. And like I said, I went through the entire, listened to it while it was on, and because of some of the comments, I went back and tried to listen to some of the statements and claims and make sure I wasn't taking anything out of context. And honestly, I don't see how that's any different than somebody who says, look, we're there, but there are some things to, be aware of, that if it doesn't happen tomorrow, don't let that make you think this isn't happening. This is happening. And I said, if anyone wants to ask any questions, I'll gladly answer them. I don't work for Landa. Like I said, I'm involved. I've got a couple of projects in. I have some conversations, so I know where they are. And I'll gladly, do anything I can to help people understand it. But real
if
quick,
you can stay
my
with
understanding of this comes from my history with platform trading and understanding some of the work I've done with bonds and trying to use that background to understand some of the things that they discuss. So I hope that helps.
That does, and I appreciate it. And can you stay with us for a while, Land Man, or as long as you can?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll be here the whole time, but I may have to, be working in my other ear at times. So
did they happen in that land call? Did they happen to mention the balloon crisis?
No, they didn't. That'll probably
I guess
be
I
on next
have
next
special
week's
intel
call.
here. Okay,
I'm sure it'll be on next week's call.
And then it'll be long gone thing. Okay, I'm going to mute you out because we're going to go through the intel first and then go to questions. So hang tight,
Awesome,
okay?
thanks
a bunch.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Imperium, you're going to go because I know you're on a tight time frame. Oh, hang on. I just hit the wrong button. Imp, you there?
Yeah.
How are you doing today, darling man?
I'm fine, Blondie. Thank you. Thanks for the invite.
Always.
Over the past few days, I've been paying attention to what's going on, and I haven't heard anything new that I can add. It sounds like there's an awful lot of congruent information coming up, and then it's just like stillness, complete silence. So I'm going to hang around here till about 4:30. If anything comes up that I can make a contribution to.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to mute you out, and then I'm going to go to Black Eyed Pea, and then go to Martha. Because that's right now that's the intel, and then we'll go to questions. And Martha will take a long time. So hold on here. Just teasing you, Martha. Beep, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Well, yes, I can hear you fine.
Great.
Give us something good.
Well, I hope everybody's doing well. I'm with Imperium here. We're really getting the same thing. We're just really in the waiting process. I know there has been some banterings of the U.S. still putting its finger in this thing, and I can't confirm that nor deny it. But I really can't see it going much further. I think we've all talked about this March 1st date, and that had everything to do with the 90 days that the currency needed to be active and with the active rate. And I heard Linda, man, talking, and quite frankly, I haven't been able to find that either. That's something we had heard, and it seems like I saw it in print somewhere, but I really can't put my fingers on it. But once again, I think, and let me say this too, and Blondie, we talked about this. Those bordering countries over there, as rich as they are, Iraq is the richest. Besides Kuwait, there is no way you can have Kuwait at $3-something even today. They're $3-something. It may be $3.23, and then Iraq stayed at $11.66. It's impossible for this to keep going on. And if they want to get into the World Trade Organization, they're going to have to do something this week. I really didn't think that they would go all the way up to that date, all the way up to that March 1st date. That's why I'm thinking it has to be done, and it's just rolling out. And we've said that time and time and time again, but I think this time there has to be some validity in that from what we're reading, from what we're hearing. I believe the banks are waiting on us once again to be done with us. I don't think they're holding it up, the banks. I don't think it's there. I think they're ready to get this on and get this over with and get us out the door.
Okay. Well, hang with us as long as you can, will you, Beat?
Yeah, I'm going to mute out.
Okay, I'm going to mute you out. And then I just saw that Wolfie showed up. And, Martha, I'm not ignoring you at all, honey. I'm just saving the best for last. How does that sound? Okay, Wolfie. Wolfie?
Hey.
Start us off, baby.
I'm trying to get in there. Am I in?
You're in. Can you hear me?
Oh, all right. Oh.
There we go. All right, what do you have for us? Well, we're hoping you tell us.
What is there to tell? We're just absolutely just right in the middle of the pie, just sitting here waiting for it to be served. I mean, there's nothing else really going down. I mean, it's just like we're here. We have arrived. We're just more or less just waiting for it to roll on over. There's not that much more intel out there because there's not that much more to say. Everything everyone I've talked to today, I've been on the phone and everything today, and I've got the same thing every which way I go. Everybody's saying it's done. There's nothing else more to say. It's done. So I don't have that much right now. So believe it or not, my big mouth is closed. I don't have a lot to say about it. It's done.
It's a miracle.
I know.
I'm just teasing you, darling.
What am I then?
Okay,
I'm not miracle. I'm not miracle man. I'm not miracle woman. So what am I? Miracle wolf?
Well, no, but I think Landa Man's been taking lessons from Miracle Man.
Aha.
Just teasing. Yeah, there you go. Okay, all right. Okay, so now, now I just see it. We have another one. Martha, seriously, I'm saving you for last, but I got another one here. So I'm going to mute you out here, Wolfie, and then we're going to go to Q&A, but we got to get to Tank and then Martha. So here we go. Tank?
Hey, how you doing? I'm sorry.
Good. You're good to go, my friend.
Well,
give us something good.
The only thing I would mention is that to give people confidence about what a good position we're in right now is that the only things that are coming out consistently is now you have the crowd coming out to tell you, well, it's not going to work again, it's not going to happen again, all the misinformation. They got people looking to March 22nd, they got us looking to June, they got us looking to March 3rd. Everything is revolving around this idea of it's never going to happen. It creates this sense of disdain and despair. But in my experience and from the connections I have, everything that I know, is all that is just a misdirect. And then all of a sudden it's just going to drop in. And it's not all of a sudden like someday, all of a sudden, but it really is finished. And the last year I've been saying every day this week, I thought I would go every day this week. And I genuinely feel that that's how close we are. There's just too many pieces in place. If you look at it, I call it the A2B, but the AIIB is acting in effect. You have the SIP system is actively working. Iran is connected to the SWIFT system. And about a million other factors that are all coming into play at just the right moment. All of those things have taken years to bring to fruition. If all of that work went in place to come into fruition, there's no way, there's only one chance a year that new countries can enter into the World Trade Organization. And that's June 1st. And the information is accurate. They do need 90 days where their currency is active because they have to control their own trade 90 days. So you can't control your own trade if you don't control your own currency rate. So on June 1st, that's the only chance they get. So it's right now. Now is the time. So March 3rd is the date. Is 90 days, I believe, exactly to June 1st. So that's like should be the absolute last time it can go. So that's about only intel I have. I mean, I have intel actually, but I can't share it. It's just, but I would just say this is the time we should be really excited about where we're at.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks, Tank. Are you going to hang with us for a while? Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to unmute you. And now we're going to go to Marvelous Martha. So, Martha, I'm going to unmute you.
Oh, come on. Thought it was...
And it's showtime, girlfriend. Showtime. Bring it on.
That's fine and dandy, but I have nothing to say, guys. I came to listen to everybody else.
No. That's
oh,
impossible.
yes. Isn't that terrible? I hoped that when I got home this afternoon, everyone in the room would have something great to tell me, honestly. I've been out of the loop all day, guys. Sorry.
All right. Well, Martha, then are you seriously?
I came to listen and to learn from everybody else. Let me tell you, this morning we had one nifty conversation going. Let me tell you. So I'm hoping that everyone else will come on the call and give me some great information, because I'm in the same boat, everybody. Everything's quiet. I'm not going to say another word. There's ultimatums out there. The G20 starts tomorrow, Friday. They're in Shanghai. I guarantee you the fireworks are going to start there, definitely.
Well, I hope they get their balloons delivered on time. That's for sure. Okay.
I mean,
so
we're all waiting. Iran, Iraq. Come on, this is ridiculous already. So.
Okay. Bodie, I have a technical assistant question for you. When we go to Q&A, should I just unmute all the hosts at this point, or can they unmute themselves? Bodie? Bodie ran away.
Blondie?
No, she hasn't muted.
Yes?
We could star 7 and come in. Each mod can star 7.
Bodie's here.
Oh, okay. So the mods can come in by star 7?
What I was going to say was unmute everybody, and we all just need to mute on our phones. So then, when we want to jump in to answer a question, we just unmute ourselves from our phones.
Okay, so I should unmute everybody on my board, on our host.
Yeah.
On my board, I should unmute everybody right now. Okay, so I'm going to do that real quick, audience, and then we're going to go to Q&A. And I'm telling you, if you don't have a good question, I'm cutting you off. I'm kidding. Oh, but here's a great one. Here's the best one. Our sleeper's on the phone. He's been on the phone for 110 minutes. So let's just see if he's still sleeping, okay? So 224, I'm going to unmute you. Surprise me, honey. 224. 224. You're unmuted. 224.
Your noises, but nothing else, huh?
224. Okay. All right. I guess, I don't know. Maybe he's a prankster. Anyway, you're out of here, buddy. Okay, let's go to area code 832. 832. In Texas.
Hello?
Yeah,
Hello?
go ahead. Go ahead.
This is my first official time on a conference call. I'm excited. I'm legit now. One question. I've been trying to get into the forum. You guys are talking about more people.
You have a lot of you got a lot of background.
Hang on. Is that better?
Much better.
Okay, I had to turn the AC off. I've emailed you guys a couple times. I know y'all are busy, but I haven't received anything back, and I would love to be a part of your guys' forum, but that's neither here nor there. My actual question is, there was some intel over the weekend that some groups sent some emails saying you're going to get your notifications, until about people popping champagne bottles and everything. Do we have any confirmation that those people did in fact start on Monday morning, or are they still in this waiting process as well?
Any hosts, any of you know?
No, that's it.
Oh, okay. No, I was just asking the hosts if they knew to answer your question. I don't know of any. I've heard the same thing. I do not personally know of anyone who's been called to go into exchange. Do any of you other hosts know of anybody?
No, this is Bodie. I haven't either.
I haven't.
But, sir, please send one more email, because we're going to be working on that shortly, so that way you're at the top of the list.
Okay, not a problem. It is WSOMN 2015 at yahoo.com, correct?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
All right.
And make sure that you tell them that you were the first question on the call, so that they know who you are. From
Okay.
Houston, Texas.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Hey, Bodie.
Thanks,
Bodie.
dear.
Yes, Bodie's here.
Hey, so Miracle Man around because he's got some people that did go already to Reno.
Yes.
Now
yes,
whether they've
he is.
gone in yet, I have no idea.
I will unmute Miracle Man.
Yay, where is he? My bud.
Miracle
Okay.
Man,
Okay.
come on in.
Okay. But Miracle Man, you know the rules. You know the rules.
I know the rules.
You have.
Hi, honey.
Slowly.
Can you hear me all right?
Slowly.
I'm out in the car. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Well, kind of, sort of. Now that's better. That's better. Go ahead, Miracle Man.
All right. You can hear me fine?
Slowly. We can hear you
Slowly
fine,
talk.
and we'll hear you better if you talk slowly.
I really need to talk to Landon, man. Need him on here, please. Been waiting to talk to him for years.
So,
And is he there? Okay.
We're
I don't know. Am I here?
We can
Am I
hear you,
unmuted?
Miracle Man. You're unmuted.
Is Landon man there? Because I got a bunch of questions for him.
Landon Man's here.
I'm unmuted?
You're unmuted,
Okay.
Landon Man.
Okay, good.
So, good to finally talk to you. I've been living it for 4 years every day, so give you an idea. But since November has been big for me. I'm a part of 4 humanitarian groups, okay? I got skin in 2 of them. And we've got our paperwork finally after years. People have signed an NDA. I'm not the leader of these in this group because I'm the General 64. But I've got in the game, right? So we've got paperwork, NDAs. We had 2 people that month, finally, I know for sure, go in and get some SKRs on some Zim. Before that, it was always Tony, listen and write. So, now in the last about a week ago, one leader got a call of a group, needed to be in Reno. That's where they need to be the head, to let their group know to come. They're going to get a 48-hour notice. They got to be there to exchange. One's there. We got an email yesterday. Another one snuck in there. Another one's leaving tomorrow. So 3 of my 4 leaders, again, this is an indication, a good indication, possibly. These are humanitarian groups, which you understand. And they're going to be 3 will be in Reno by the weekend, which is a good sign. One was there in November for 5 days and said, I'll never go back until I exchange. So that's a little tidbit there. It's a little good news, okay? And since then, these members are fantastic. I've talked to so many members and people and got some stuff. 4 more people we know have exchanged SKRs in the last 30, 45 days. So we really are, like he said, on top of it. And but it's been going on for years. But I'm a Zap fan, but he's been saying days or weeks, okay, for years. I've read every one. So you understand where I'm coming from, Landon, man.
Oh, absolutely.
I understand it's different. And I'm separating here. People on this call are the internet, individual, General 64, or humanitarian. These aren't the public.
Okay, slow down, Miracle Man. Slow down.
Correct.
Slow down.
As a matter of fact,
I was going to give you an A.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
My understanding of this from their conversation, when they're talking public, they're not talking about any of us. As far as all of us are concerned, even if we're not part of sovereign or humanitarian groups, at the very least, we're part of the private exchange. When they say public, they're talking about it showing up on the Forex and being able to walk up to any counter and exchange. That's my understanding.
Correct. Now I'm going to go.
Would you agree? Would you agree that this whole thing about the public never being able to exchange is just a ruse? I mean, they can't have an international currency if the public can't exchange. I mean, to me, that's just a ridiculous theory out there.
Partially, but keep in mind, when this currency is exchanged, it's not going back into use. It's being removed. So it's going to be repatriated and removed, and they'll be introducing a whole new currency. So my guess is, and like I said, this is me, just my own opinion, is that there's a certain amount of money out there. The larger numbers are going to go to the countries, the sovereigns, the humanitarian projects, and the smaller numbers will go to the private exchanges. And I think that's why the dinar has the lowest exchange rate versus a lot of these others based on, exchanges, what we could get. So if we go out and spend a certain amount of money, $1,000, the lowest return of all of our currencies you're going to see is on the dinar right now. I think that's why, because it's been overprinted and there's a lower, return on what's out there. But it doesn't mean that not everybody's going to be able to redeem their currency. However, they're removing it from use. So I think there will be a window, and I believe the international, this I've heard, I couldn't verify it, is 24 months. A country has 24 months to remove a currency before they no longer accept it.
Correct.
That's correct.
That is.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Martha, what did you say?
I agreed. It's 24 months, but they will have to change currency.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, I wouldn't wait, guys.
No, I wouldn't either, because especially
Right.
with the dinar, those rates, once they're on the Forex, they're going to go up and down like anything else. And there's more currency out there going for fewer dollars, the lower the rate. The inverse is true, too. If there's more out there, it could go up. But I still think the first 30 days is going to be when we want to get this done before anything goes public.
That's true.
Okay, I got a few more.
Okay.
Are
you and Miracle Man, were you finished?
Yep. No. Okay, no.
You?
No, ma'am. I've got some good questions. It's been years I want to talk to this gentleman. Okay, let's talk about the movie. The movie's called Iraq. When do you feel, from your highest sources, that the last play of Iraq was, and we've seen this every month, remember, it's a new ending. When do you think Iraq was officially ready to go and ready to go without being in control? Your opinion from your highest sources.
Honestly, I think Iraq's been ready to go for less than a couple of months. I mean, it's got a few I's to dot and T's to cross, but I think they really crossed the finish line right before the end of the year.
Okay, excellent. And like Tony said in D.C., over the years, we've only known 60-70% of the truth. And we all fed into it. The good thing about it, we're all in the game. We're up to 16 million of us, which is exciting, instead of a million when I got in. So now the three things that needed to be done was last summer the IAB got their bank together, 147 countries, the SIP system set up, and now their bank is the reserve currency thing was huge, and that was their Christmas present. So now in January, they can do what their deals, work around the petrodollar, work around all the U.S. dollars, and until that happens, all the rest of the year is really with fodder. Am I right on that? So really, for the last 2 months, we're kicking some, you know what? Is that analysis that you would agree with until they can control? Because in 2013, in December, I know I had an HSBC.
Slow down.
Okay, I had an HSBC banker, international. Tony was right. The politicians stole $1 trillion. The whales are getting paid in December 2013. January, the Wells Fargo, and all these other people that took another $500 million. So the Chinese could see they had control, and they were just giving it to who they wanted. And then the Twitter campaign started, and the games changed. So
I agree with that almost.
Okay.
I'd say 98%. I think those whales you're referring to that have exchanged, technically have exchanged. What they've done is sold their currency to sovereigns that will exchange it at a better rate. So, yes and no.
Okay. All right, Miracle Man, thank you very much. You get a A-. Okay? We're going to run on to some other questions. So I'm going to mute you out here. Thank you very much.
One thing? One more? One more?
I'm sorry? I'll come back to you if we have time, Miracle Man. Okay, we're going to go to 281.
Hello?
281, you're on. Go ahead.
Hi. How are you guys doing today? Good.
We're doing great.
Okay. I think my question may have been answered because that was going to be one of my questions as far as how did they distinguish who was the public. But you guys answered it, because if we're on a internet group but not necessarily in a group, we're still not considered public, correct?
Correct.
Because right. And then I think you cleared it up, because when they said that the public may not be able to exchange, well, maybe that has a lot of different scenarios as to why they may not, because the time can expire or something like that. But if it's a tradable currency and they get in before the 24 months, somehow they find out, they should still be able to exchange their currency, right?
Yes. That's correct.
I mean, yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
okay.
And then I think my last question is the WTO. They're saying that they're supposed to be done, or they wanted this, kind of done before then. Do you know, or any of the guys that's on the line, just say it does, March 1st comes, and they still haven't let this go. I mean, so then it can just go on and on until they just finish or complete what it is that they have to do, correct?
I don't think this is going to go beyond that, to be very honest, and that's my very strong opinion. All right? Because this happened, if you think about it, they were going to do this last year, and they missed the WTO. So, they weren't quite ready, or there were too many roadblocks out there that prevented them to get to that point. All right? So this is do or die time, and honestly, I don't think China's going to let it go beyond this. No way.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Not.
Those were my questions. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks. And when I mute, would you put your hand down, ma'am?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to go to 916. 916. Go ahead.
Get that damn dinar cashed in within the first month if you want the best rate.
Oh, whoops. You know what? I'm sorry. I hit the wrong button, 916, but I'll come back to you. 770. You're up.
Atlanta.
I want to thank you. Oh.
Go ahead. 770. 770. Okay, well, you're out of here. I'm going to mute you. Oh, there you go. Just in time. Boy, you're lucky that I've got fat fingers and can't quite get to the buttons on time.
Well, that was good. I had
Go
time
ahead.
getting on there. I was just concerned about this thing going. It all sounded to me like, too, they're backed up against the wall with this tariffs and their taxes that they've implemented. Seemed to me like they got to have an international rate to do something with that, and they're talking about opening up another port and bringing in container freight for that. So it sounded to me like they got to get this thing done.
Oh, they do. They know it.
Did you have a question?
I know what his question is. There are still roadblocks, and they're trying to get rid of them. It's, I'm not going to go into details as to who is doing it. I think we all sort of know. And right now, it's at the ultimate end of the line. Something is going to happen, believe me. And we'll leave it at that.
All righty. Well,
hey.
I mean, like, this thing is really, really done, so.
Oh, it is done, sir. Most definitely.
I appreciate everything y'all are doing, and having a super group here. Super cause.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And listen, put your hand down. If you've already asked a question, excuse me, what?
Have I?
Okay. I'm going to mute you out, and then if you've already asked your question, please put your hand down. Okay, now, 916. Let me see if I can get this on the right button here. Okay, 916. You're almost good to go.
Yep.
There you go. Now you're good to go.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, I can hear you.
So I just want to say, this is Nick, 27X on the board, and just want to say, Martha, you have the sexiest voice. Just kind of putting that out there, and, you ladies are just amazing. What was that?
I said, who has the sexiest voice? I didn't hear
Martha.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, he's out of here. You are out of here, buddy.
I know.
Wrong comment there.
Wrong comment. I'm the old lady on the block here. Come on.
Andy, love you to death.
Go ahead.
You ladies are amazing.
Question.
You.
and the guys, Iko, Joseph, Imperium, those guys should be doing voiceovers on the radio. You got this great voice.
Tyrion has a nice, soft voice. Love it.
Yeah. So
did you have a? Now that we're done with the Mutual Admiration Society comment,
I know. Well,
did
edify. I just wanted to back up something that Iko said. And Iko, when he was originally talking about the lack of tanker movement and container ship movement, I live out in the valley in Northern California. I commute to San Francisco, so I see the bay every day. And he was absolutely right. The place was empty. There wasn't any containers offloading, and there weren't any tankers at the Chevron or the Shell refineries. And then all of a sudden they started showing up, but they were at anchor out in the bay, waiting to get called in. And then all of a sudden one day the bay was just completely empty, and all these ships were up moored and being unloaded. So I just was, if people who don't get to see what I see, I was just confirming what Iko was talking about with the ship movement, at least from what I can see. So,
hey, we couldn't get Iko here today, could we, huh?
Yeah, I mean, and right now there's the mega ships are showing up, and they are the container ships that have 1,800 containers on them. I mean, they can barely see over the stack, and actually the bay's full of them. I would assume they come from China because I'm on the West Coast. But just kind of throwing that out there. I'm good.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate your support. Okay, now we're going to go to a place where I used to live. 360. 360, you're up. 360. Olympia.
Yes, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, you're there.
Thank you. I have a question about the exchange centers. Is there a such thing as exchange center? Is that all hype? Shouldn't we just be able to go to a regular bank, whether it's a Tier 1 bank, Tier 2, or Tier 3? Okay, it's all digits. Is that correct?
No, they're definitely exchange centers, honey. They're off-site areas that the banks are setting up, okay? You're not going to see an awful lot of branches being used on purpose, okay? Because they don't want the public to really get wind of what we're up to at this time. So.
Okay. Can I have one more question, please?
Sure.
Sure. As far as the Zim currency, there's rumors like we have 28 days, 30 days, or whatsoever. Is there actually a time limit for exchange in the Zim currency?
I think they will.
I don't know.
I'm not sure, speaking out of turn, I thought there was a time frame for that, for 30 days. But I may be wrong.
Okay. Hey, thank you very much. Thank you for your service.
It's a lot safer to get it in and get it exchanged as fast as you can.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome, hon.
Bye-bye. Okay. 570. 570. Wait, I'm sorry. The board moved on me. Let's go with 732. 732, you're up. 570, I'll get back to you next. 732? 732 in New Jersey. 732. Okay.
Twice.
Okay, now 570.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. My question is this. This is especially in regards to the Zim. As far as the banks are concerned, now I know there are contract rates and there are market rates and then there's the international rate. Don't the banks have some leeway as to what they consider to be market rate versus contract rate, and who they require to sign the NDA as to the amount of the amount that, whether it's market or contract rate? In other words, is there some kind of variable there where, depending on how much currency you have, would determine what they would give you, and also whether or not you would sign an NDA? In other words, do they have some discretion there, or is it all set by the U.S.?
Hey, that's what they're calling it, that the wealth managers will have, the bank manager will have what they call a discretion. you're right. It will be based on how much you have altogether as to what you will get as far as market rate goes. But
but what I was saying was, do they have discretion as to whether or not they want you to sign the NDA?
I'm not sure. I don't think so, actually, because the rates are definitely cut in line. What is considered contract and what isn't, and what's market and what isn't, and what's international. Let me tell you one thing. The rates are so high that, getting an obscene high-end market contract rate may not be what you really want to do in the long run, okay? And from what Miracle Man said, the contract itself is only, a page and a half, and it may only be enforceable for 60 to 90 days anyways. And I wouldn't go out blasting to everybody what you got for exchange rates anyways. It's no one's business except yourself.
Right. Well, I wasn't saying that. Do you believe that the 65 cents is a market rate or a contract rate?
Well, what it is, I guess you could call it a contract rate, but at this point, shoot for it, and see what you can get. Because the status of the currency, and it will be exchanged as a currency, but it is actually a bond, and will go back into the system as a bond. And the value of that bond will way beyond that 65 cents. A lot of people are talking about trying for $6.50.
Yes, that's what I heard.
Even had someone bring up an $80 fee against the price of gold. I'm serious. Try it. It can't hurt, honey. Believe me.
So you're saying that
Zimbabwe has riches beyond belief. This country is in such a fertile area. I mean, that is why China and I believe Russia went in there years ago and actually bought out what they could, all right, in preparation for this whole event. And we're going back years. Iko had a small ditty that he used about, what was it, Blondie? Do you remember? He used to say, gold, the strip was lined with diamonds, rimmed in gold, and what was the other one?
Yeah.
It wasn't palladium. It was platinum.
Platinum.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, I thought that was the neatest thing, and that came out of, he said, 1939, I think? That whole scenario, that they went in there that far back, knowing what this country had.
Sir. Okay, Martha, let's move on. Did that answer your question, sir?
Hey, Blondie, could I interject something there real quick?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
As far as the NDAs and discretion, and I deal with attorneys every day in NDAs in my own line of work, they're not going to have discretion. If you go with a market rate, they're not going to have to sign one. Well, let me say, there's going to be two different levels of NDAs. The first is if you exchange prior to anything being made public, you're probably going to have to sign the 1-page or 2-page, whatever, NDA that only lasts for 60 or 90 days. And its purpose is so that you don't go out and say anything about it prior to it being made public. The other one is going to be if you're going for a contract rate or you're part of the humanitarian projects, there will be a much larger NDA. They won't have discretion, and that will have to do with the funds. And the reason that one will last longer is because it's not something you can go out and talk about after the fact, regardless of whether the currency's gone public.
Good answer.
Landa Man, now that you brought that up, when people start exchanging, are they going to stop the dealers from selling? I mean, at what point will the dealers stop selling?
You know what? I've heard a lot of different things on that from different people. Now you're getting my opinion here. Is there will be some overlap because people have exchanged SKRs already. I mean, we know people have gone in and exchanged, and we've also heard that part of their exchange is they're not allowed to purchase any more currency.
Right.
And it's no different than if you work for a company and you just found out the company's about to do an IPO. You could have bought stock all you wanted up until you received that knowledge. You're now under a gag order. So now if you go out and buy that stock, you're taking part in insider trading. I guarantee this is no different. So there will be some overlap. once you've exchanged and signed that contract, you cannot go out and buy or disclose that information. So that's my own opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Blondie, can I bring up something else?
Sure.
That everyone keeps asking about, that second basket. People do not wait for that second basket. Why? Because once this goes international in the first basket, case in point the ZIM, the second basket, it will only be at its international rate, which I believe is like 0.04 coming out the chute, all right? So you're better off now to exchange at these obscene rates, really, because they're not going to be in that second basket, believe me. You know, just ignore that second basket. Do everything in the first basket. That's my suggestion.
Could I ask one last question?
Oh, jeez, if you send me $20. Go ahead.
What if you take the contract rate, is there like a minimum of, like, we'll say 30 or 40% that you have to contribute to the humanitarian projects?
I do not believe so. I haven't heard that one.
And that depends if you're like in a certain group or, you know.
No, as an individual.
We're kind of going to not know all this till it all shakes out.
It all happens, yeah.
That would take so much time that they could have to come up with this humanitarian thing for the ZIM. You know, this really just came out like 6 months ago. I mean, all of us buying it and that kind of thing. So, you know, that's just a decision you're going to have to make when it's all presented to you. We don't know what options that they're going to give us, you know. So, we're just going to have to play it by ear. That's my opinion.
Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it, and you all do a great job. Do I start 2, is it, to mute out?
I'm going to mute you out, then you take your hand down. But I don't know how you take your hand down. Star 2?
Star 2 to drop his hand, and he can just star 6 to mute out.
Okay, thank you.
I'm muting him out anyway. Thanks. Okay, now we are going to 772. 772. You're good to go. Go ahead.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
And your kids.
You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you and your kids. We can hear you and your kids.
Okay. Okay, let me go outside. I have a question, and thank you for creating this group. And I have a question. I was reading in Dinar Chronicle that the 28th of February, with or without dark nobility compliance, the GCR will have to be completed, right?
Well, right now that's still a rumor, but we're looking at that as a backwall date, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, and the first person that was talking really put me, not put me down, but if they're gonna stop the individuals to go, or not stop, but prorogate the time for us to go, that's do you think that's really, is that a possibility?
Blondie, I didn't understand
your question. I didn't either.
Something about the public.
Can you repeat that?
Okay. Yes, ma'am, of course. You know that the person that was saying that probably they were going to prorogate the time for us individuals to go when the GCR was or the RV was started. That's what
are you asking me? Are you going to get a time?
Yeah, I am.
Go ahead, Shane.
I think what she's specifically referring to is what Landa Mann said about the hypothetical situation mentioned on the call.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, so basically what he was saying, to clarify, is he was saying hypothetically, we're at the end of this, not the beginning. And what he meant by that was this. This process, if it were to start tomorrow, you'd have massive sovereign nations that would have huge holdings of currencies that would have to be exchanged so that they could take their debts down to zero out their debt. And it would take, an undisclosed amount of time. It could take months. But in reality, that's not where we're at. Where we're at is, it's like by the time you get a piece of steak on your table, it had to be raised from a calf, fed, slaughtered, cut up, and then you got it. We're at the point where not only do we have the steak, it's already cooked and it's about to be served. So where we're at is they're about to announce, like, dinner's ready, now you can come eat. Does that make sense? Or is that too deep?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have one more question. I'm sorry. Today I was talking to some friends and I told them that my currency, it's in a safe deposit box in a bank, and they were saying that probably that's not very legal, and that I don't know. Can you solve that? Like, do you have any?
Personally, my recommendation is to get it out and get it home.
Okay. I appreciate
All right.
it.
To be honest with you, I'm still not sure what the banks are up to. Seriously.
That's right.
You should never keep currency in the bank anyways.
Well, can I say something? Are we talking about
go ahead.
Are we talking about on deposit with the bank, or are you saying you've got it in a safe deposit box?
A deposit box.
In a safe deposit
honestly,
box.
and this is my opinion, I've split mine up because, my house burns down. I don't want to lose my currency, so I've got some in a safe deposit box and some, getting away at home for that very reason.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, we have our research dude is here finally. Research dude, JD. What have you got for us, honey?
JD is here. Thank you. Oh, hallelujah.
Hey, I finally made it out of my meeting.
Wonderful.
Can you hear me?
And you're coming through nice and clear.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear it. So, what's the topic we're talking about today?
Well, you were telling me about the gold thing, and I didn't get a chance to read it. Well, just give us what your observations are of what you think the status is of what's going on.
Well, I mean, basically, the system is burning down as we watch it. I mean, there's more and more companies that are going under every day, and more people getting pink slips every day. So, I don't know. I mean, at some point, the wheels are going to come off, and I don't think we have very long to wait for that, personally. I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. And really, I mean, it's just a matter of waiting. The dark liquidity funds at some point are going to dry up, and they're no longer going to be able to continue to pump money into the system to keep the illusion going, because it is an illusion, definitely. I mean, the underlying market is not doing what the stock market's doing. That's obvious. Commodity prices are not coming back up. Oil has come back up a little bit. You mentioned the article I sent to you about the price of gold once the dollar becomes asset backed. Someone in the Skype room had asked me the other day, what's gold going to do once the dollar becomes asset backed? What's the price of gold going to do? Is it going to go through the ceiling? And from my understanding, I had heard from several different places over the course of time that there had been an agreed-upon price of gold that will be applied to all the currencies worldwide. It's not the same price for every currency, but the U.S.'s agreed-upon rate that I've heard multiple times is $455 an ounce. And I came across this article. It's really kind of interesting. There's an article out there that's in a PDF, and I can put the link out in WSOMN on the forum. The title of the article was called, it's called Black Gold, the End of Bretton Woods and Oil Price Shocks of the 1970s. This article came out several years ago, but it's really pretty interesting because it talks about the relationship of gold to the dollar and gold to oil. And I've always kind of had the premise that the value of gold really never changes. What we see change is the value of currency in relation to gold. And in 1971, of course, Richard Nixon, depegged the dollar from gold and said, dollar's now based on the value of the good faith and credit of the United States government as opposed to $35 an ounce, which it was for years and years. And prior to 1971, the price of oil stayed pretty consistent to where it took between 10 and 15 barrels of oil to equal 1 ounce of gold. And that value in 1971, when we depegged, began to change. And by 1973, the number of barrels of oil it took to make an ounce of gold had gone up to about 34. And, of course, the price of oil in 1973 was still $3.56 a barrel. So, we all had this illusion that nothing had really changed, and we all got mad at OPEC in 1973 when they came in and did the oil embargo, because OPEC knew, they said, gee, we're still getting $3.56 a barrel, that the value of a dollar compared to gold is now $1.20 when it used to be $35. So that means that we're getting almost a 70% cut in value by accepting dollars for this oil from what we used to get, because other currencies in the world did not have that kind of fluctuation in value with gold that the dollar did, because they weren't printing money like we were out of thin air. And it's really kind of interesting. So they did the oil embargo and raised the price of oil up to about $10 a barrel, which put it back in line with the 10 to 15 barrels of oil per ounce of gold. And that kind of stayed the same until we started playing with the value, manipulating the value of gold. And now we're almost back to 34 barrels of oil to make 1 ounce of gold again. So that tells you, that something's really awry, because, we've really dug into the other people who produce oil, and even our own companies that produce oil. The value of a barrel of oil has really gone down comparatively if you consider that gold is a standard that never changes. So if we, after the adjustment, after the dollar becomes gold-backed, if we were to go back to $455 an ounce and the value of oil stayed about where it is right now at about $30 a barrel, that would amazingly put it back in how many barrels of oil per ounce of gold? About 14. So that's back in range again. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting?
Yes, very. Very. Okay, JD, can you hang with us? Oh, or unless, did you have more?
Oh, no, I can hang out for a few minutes. I just thought, I just came across that, and really I hadn't even intended to do that. I've got some links, and I'll go ahead and throw this whole thing out in the forum. It's got links to the article about the black gold article, and then it also has some links to some other articles that were put out back around 2010 when the treaty was originally cut. And all of those articles are making reference to the real value of gold is around $455 an ounce, which I thought was real interesting too. They came out around 2010, 2012 when those articles came out. So I think that does add some credence that that's where we're heading as far as the value of gold. So, to run out and buy gold as a hedge against the hyperinflation of the dollar, probably, it's probably not going to really hurt you, but you're sure leaving a lot of dollars on the table if you do that, in my opinion. And again, that's just my opinion, and I'm not advising anybody, not to buy gold or not to buy silver or to buy gold or silver. I personally don't plan on doing that just because of the fact that I think it's going to go down from where it is right now. The 1,225, with a promise of going to 6,000 or 7,000, which a lot of the people are saying is going to happen. I mean, that's a pretty big draw, but it's also a pretty big downside if that treaty, in fact, actually does exist. And there is some pretty good evidence, in my opinion, that it does. So anyway, that's my 2 cents worth.
JD, thanks for all your due diligence. It's greatly appreciated. Now, I'm going to mute you out, but you can mute yourself back in if need be. So, okay? Now, I think we may have somebody special on here, if I'm guessing right here. So I'm going to unmute 808. 808.
Aloha, Keakua.
Would this be the ever-elusive Yosef?
It is. Aloha, guys.
Oh, my goodness.
I just wanted to come in. I was asked to kind of stand down until the RV started. And I just wanted to come in and say I loved everybody. Aiko and Imperium, Martha, Blondie, Bodie, Miss Tech Goddess. Just, you guys have really picked up the slack and done great work. And I've appreciated being a part of Wing It, Jerry and Edmund, Bill, and the whole gang. So it's been a real honor, and thanks for your time and work and dedication to doing the greatest good. I have 3 little points I want to say. I'm not really allowed to get into depth on any more intel, but I would encourage everybody to listen to the big call tonight for the celebration call. Thebigcall.net. I think you get the numbers. Bruce is really fired up. I've spoken to him 4 times today, as am I. I also would encourage everybody to check out Dinar Chronicles. There's going to be a post coming out that's got a lot of information and details about what's going on, and that'll be the intel portion of my call. So go to dinarchronicles.com. Check something called Final Peace Out. That's the post. And finally and lastly, I want to encourage everybody to go slow. Take your time. Ask for what you need. You'll get what you need. Don't ask for too much. Make yourself uncomfortable long term. Just think about what you need, why you got into this in the first place, and ask for it with the strength of Christ, and to look at Christ in the moment, of this whole blessing, because if you don't start examining your relationship to God when something like this happens, I guess the greatest example of this I could say is when a baby's born and your first child's born, and the awe you feel of the Creator in that moment. I think there might be some awe later tonight. So I love you guys, and I just wanted to say that.
Joseph, can I get a clarification? So the big call is Bruce tonight. And then did you say you were having a call or you're going to be on a call?
No. This is my last. This is just a goodbye. This is it.
Okay.
I just wanted to say goodbye. I wrote a letter, but I love Heiko and Imperium and Martha and Bodie and Belandi, and you guys just have been friends and good people and just goodness. You guys are you're just chocolatey goodness.
Well, whenever you do a post, you'll make sure to get it to one of us so we can post it, or you can post it in the forum.
I don't do posts anymore, but the intel.
Okay. This is it. So this is it.
On Dinar Chronicles. Yeah.
So this is it till after the event.
There'll be a final post on Dinar Chronicles here in a few minutes. So.
We're honored that you came in. We're honored that you came in to say goodbye to us.
I love you.
This is Bodie, and I want to say thank you and goodbye, and I hope to have a chance to meet you one day soon.
I think we will. Bruce is going to have a big something or other down the road. I think there's going to be a community that extends beyond just the calls and rates and dates and all that nonsense. You know, I think there's a fellowship that's been brought out here and a sincerity, and I hope people still feel the need to connect and talk about, you know, doing good and unite and kind of pool assets in terms of all their human resources and talents and skill sets, education, and help one another out. And there's no reason that we can't all continue, you know, as a force of goodness in the world.
Well, I think that's the game plan for all of us. So
hey, can I say something?
Thank you so much, Joseph. Yes, go ahead, Lambeth.
Yeah, Joseph, I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all of us. I mean, it's what you've done over the years helped so many people, and thank you.
Oh, God bless you. And thank you so much.
Alrighty.
One last thing. You said three things. You said listen to the big call, Dinar Chronicles for a piece coming out called Final Piece Out, and what was the third thing?
Just examine your life in God, you know, before, during, and after the process. You know, take what you need out of this event, like a meal. You know, take what you need and get you know, some leftovers, but don't overreach just because the money's there. You know, you don't have to overreach. You know? Find
peace. It's more important than the money. I've been down both.
Yeah, consciousness.
Trust me, being able to sleep at night, feel good about what you've done every day, you know, waking up, it's just nothing is more valuable than peace.
Nothing.
All right, that's for sure. All righty. Thank you so much, Joseph. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, we're going to go to 323.
Oh, my God. How can I, huh?
What?
How can we beat what he just said? We can't.
We can't.
Oh,
we can't beat it. Yes,
I
he
hate
did.
To say it,
okay, let me. Yeah. Okay. 323.
Hello.
323.
Hello.
Go ahead. 323.
Hi. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. I have a comment and a question. The first question is, comment is currently South Korea does big business with Vietnam. Since Vietnam is going to RV first, and South Korea, I heard, is in the second basket. This is going to create a huge imbalance of trade. So my question is how long or what is the time frame from the first basket to the second basket?
Martha? Hang on, Martha. Martha?
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I just said, I'm going to take a stab and say I think it's approximately 30 days. And why? Because the game plan, I believe, is in April will be the implementation of the actual gold standard. All right?
April.
In April. So if you think about the cycle here, if you go back to the original date that Iraq supposedly RV'd, which was 4/22 last year, on 4/22 this year, we will have completed a 1-year cycle, all right, of the GCR. Think about it that way. And from all the drips and drabs, I'm going to say, even Joseph had mentioned that at some point in the end of April would be when they will totally implement that gold standard.
Wow.
So that's all I'm going to say. I think originally there were 4 baskets, but I'm not too sure about the other 2 on the other end. The second basket is without the U.S. dollar in it, okay? This is when Iraq, the Chinese yuan, I believe India, and the rest of the major countries, plus what we're calling the N11 countries, and I think 4 of the African countries will all shine together in one basket, okay? They, you know, and that's when you'll see the Chinese yuan stand as it's on its own, the renminbi, okay? And in that basket should be all gold, all asset-backed currency at that point. So.
Wow. Well, I used to live in South Korea for a couple of years, and I can get a bank account in South Korea. do you think it'll be better for me to wire transfer my USN to South Korea and convert it to South Korean won? Or do you think it's better to purchase South Korean won here in U.S. and put it into an MC account?
I really can't counsel you on that one. I'm not that familiar with South Korea's money.
Okay.
You're saying it's in the second basket?
Yes. South Korea.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't know what South Korea's money's going to do. Remember, because it's in the basket, some currencies will go up and some currencies will definitely come down, all right?
If the U.S. is the only private group, or other countries like in the second basket, would they be able to exchange if they have Vietnamese dong? Would they?
Well, if you're going to exchange the dong in the second basket, you're not going to see market rates, honey. That's the thing. You're going to see the flat international rate on the second basket.
Right. I have friends in South Korea who have bought Vietnamese dong. Would they be able to exchange at a market or contract rate, or would they have to wait until the Forex international rate comes out?
Are they still living in South Korea, or are they here in the United States?
No, they're in South Korea because I have American friends out there.
That I can't tell you about. If they were smart, though, if they're going to convert the Vietnamese, I would try and shoot for the first basket. I guarantee you there'll probably be market rates at least for it when it comes out.
And last question.
Okay.
I'll make it real short.
Go ahead.
500 million ZIM, no zeros taken off. Is that correct?
Say that again. You were kind of muffled.
500 million ZIM, no zeros taken off. Is that correct?
500 million. I know I have billion, and I was told it's still 3 zeros off, so I'm not sure. I think you're probably no zeros off. That's face value.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
I'm only
appreciate it.
I'm only guessing. So take it to the bank.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to do a few more questions, and we're going to wrap it up here. And I am going to go to 651.
Yes, how do I get off?
What?
How do I get back on the thing? Am I on?
Yeah, you're on. Go
talk. Okay. I need a big question from Martha. A long time ago, she went through the rates of the currencies that she had. Can you do that again, please?
Oh, honey, I already posted it once, but I can only give you the ranges off the top of my head.
Okay, go.
All right. Well, the Vietnamese, anywhere from the flat international rate of possibly 0.47, all the way up to a contract rate of 20. All right?
Okay.
Now we're seeing market rates in the $4 range, I believe. Okay. I know that there was a gifted rate of $6 that I don't think we'll need a NDA on. Okay. Then the IQD, the dinar. Well, I've heard everything from 341 all the way up to, at this point, 4 something on the international side. But the market rate can go as high as, I think, almost $9. Anything above that becomes a contract rate. Up to $38. Now, that's an iffy one. If you can get it, fine. The Indonesian rupiah.
Okay.
I've heard $1.88 on the international rate. I've also heard, hold on to your seat, up to $9 on a market rate.
Wow.
That's a score. I don't know anything about Afghanistan. Okay. The other one, of course, is the ZIM. Anywhere from 0.4, which I also understand will be their actual international rate when it becomes the regular, across the board, their regular international rate. All the way up to, we've heard as high as 0.65 cents. And because it is currency, it actually is a bond that will be paid as currency. Joseph has said you can probably shoot for at least $6.
Wow.
Okay?
Okay.
So
the real.
That's it.
You don't have the real?
Oh, the real.
Yeah.
The notorious real. I'm not too sure now. They are not really in the first basket. They actually in the second basket.
Oh.
So they are a reinstatement. Now, they redenominated their currency back, I believe, in 2010 to what everyone else has, 1s, 2s, 3, 4s, and whatever.
Right.
I heard before that was anywhere around $3.22 maybe,
okay.
$3.22.
Okay.
I've heard upwards $3.41, which would sort of bring it up on par with the dinar. I don't know if it's going to go any higher, but
no contract.
I don't think so. No, they're just coming out of the chute again.
Okay.
They are a reinstatement at this point. Now,
yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen in the second basket if people want to wait, but hey.
Okay.
I don't have that much. I bought it as a joke.
Okay. All right, guys. We're going to wrap it up here. Thank you, sir. Okay. Do any of our hosts, guests, have any comments before we wrap this up here?
Yeah, I got one quick one, Blondie.
Go ahead.
I would have had if you go out on the forum under today's call, I posted the article that I had written to several Skype rooms under today's call. So if you go out there are links to all the information and everything in that post I did.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Any other comments? Okay, so with
Blondie, this is Sunny Day.
Go ahead.
Hey, Sunny.
Hi. I just wanted to tell everybody thanks. I wanted to recognize our transcribers today. We're Co-Dreamer and Life is Art. And just a big thank you to all the guests and all of the members in our forum. They're just awesome. And Blondie, to you and everybody else, thanks so much.
Okay, and I just want you all to kind of pray that they get those darn balloons filled up, like real quick. Get that helium tank out there. Okay, all right, with that, you guys, let's just, hope this thing comes in, and our next call is celebration. So with that, everyone have a great evening, and we'll see you when we see you. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
The moderator has left the conference.